I just think it's tough for all of us. You know what I mean? When you come from where Coach came from and the level of success that he's been able to have, you know, losing is something that I think, unless you're in it, it's hard to explain the feeling and how it weighs on you and how heavy it is. You know, for all of us, you know, coaches in particular, you know, winning is like a feeling of relief, you know, but the losses you take extremely hard. And, you know, as they mount up, you know, more and more frustrations and emotions come into play. And then, you know, we're just trying to figure out, you know, how you get around it. But, and it's tough. And it's, you know what I mean, like, it's an emotional thing that has impact on, you know, here at home, you know, so finding ways to shake it. But, you know, the priority is always trying to figure out how to get through it and get around it. And then, you know, at the end of the day, making the decision that's best for you.
JB, do you treat these last 28 games kind of as you hit the reset button, kind of start all over?
Yeah, it happened, if you can call it a good time, but like coming out of the break, you know what I mean? Like, guys are energized, they're refreshed, you know, they've had some time away, so we can come in here with a clear mind and try to put a focus on these last 28. And there's still a lot for us to be had in these last 28 games. You know, there's individual growth, there's team growth, there's the ability to lay the foundation of, you know, what we think we can look like moving forward. So I think, you know, it's a great opportunity, you know, for guys to get together, play together, continue to build camaraderie. You know, when you look at teams that are successful, there's a continuity with those teams. So anytime you get a group of guys that can be together and play together and learn together, it's always helpful for you moving forward.
You've been around the game your entire life, JB. You've been around the game your whole life. What'd you learn in Memphis that, I guess, sets you up for this?
You know, one of the things that I give Memphis a ton of credit for, and I think they did a great job with the community and being a part of, you know, the spirit of the city of Memphis. And I think that's something that's, you know, not every sports town has it. I think Cleveland has a great, you know, history and tradition of sports. And I think it's something that we can focus on, is how we connect our team to the city and to its fans. You know, the grit and grind in Memphis, you know what I mean? Like, if you went anywhere in the city, you felt that. And I think there's an opportunity to have a connection here that tight between the fans and the team. And, you know, whether it's style of play, you know, how we compete every single night on the floor, like, it's our responsibility to engage our fans and play for our fans, and, you know, carry that load with us as we step on the floor every night, because, you know, they deserve it, and they're the ones that are there supporting us every single day.
You've taken over 2 other teams in midseason, so how is that going to help you in this job here today?
Well, you kind of have an idea of, you know, what's next, and what works and what doesn't work. You know, this is not going to be a complete, you know, turnaround of what we're doing offensively and defensively. You know, it'll be small changes, you know, that we think can be helpful. But, you know, when you spend as much time as we have to this point working on certain things, you know, you just have to try to keep getting better at those things and then make small changes when you see fit. You know, it's different this time, you know, with only 28 games left, you know, where our focus has to be. You know, the focus is on, you know, who we are mentally and physically, what our makeup is. You know, the conversation we had with our guys is, you know, every night we step on the floor, our goal is to be the most competitive team and the most unselfish team. You know, what that results in, you know, we'll see. But giving guys an opportunity to go out and compete and play with one another and play for one another, those are things that can happen quickly because those are conscious decisions that we just have to make.
Did any part of you see this coming?
No, to be honest with you. You know, I think it's been pretty clear what the plan was, but never this fast did I expect it to happen. You know, so much changes so quickly in this league, though, you know what I mean, because the games keep coming, the days keep moving, that you never quite know what to expect day to day, and then you just have to be prepared for each day as it comes at you.
When you said have the growth within this team, though, as the season's gone along, or have you seen it progress?
No, I think definitely been improvement. If you look at from an individual standpoint, we've had a bunch of guys take steps in the right direction. If you look at the team, we've had some positives happen to us. Now the most difficult part of the NBA is consistency, right? And whether you're a good player or a great player depends on how many nights you can be at your best. Same thing about a good team or an average team. It's how many nights you can be at your best. So for us, we've got to figure that out and figure out how we can be at our best for 28 games.
You mentioned those small changes. What were you talking about that you would like to tweak?
I think, the pace that we want to play at offensively. We'd like to pick up our pace. We'd like to throw ahead more. We've got guys who are really good in the open floor. We want to make sure we get them the ball in the open floor so they can be at their best. Defensively, maybe switching more, being more aggressive at some points. Allowing Andre and Tristan, to protect the paint, roam the paint, like those types of things. Again, small things for us, but things that we think we can utilize going forward as well.
Kevin said he was moved by John coming in and speaking to the team today. Do you think that it's going to have a positive effect, that maybe that provides a little bit of closure and it makes guys maybe understand, all that he was dealing with?
Yeah, and that's tough to do. You know what I mean? For a guy, again, with his credentials, to walk in front of a room of, A-type personalities, and to be vulnerable is very difficult. So you got to give them a ton of credit for that. And I think the guys, because they are quality people, they felt that, and they were moved by it. And from there, it allows you to move forward, without the questions of what if or why. Like, to have that conversation face to face and see somebody as a human being, making a decision as opposed to, something that's in text or in writing, it makes it different. And I think that was a huge step by Coach to do that.
When you said you knew what the plan was, so did you envision yourself taking over for John someday, or?
I mean, that was the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the part of the reason why I am here in the first place was the conversations that I had with Kobe, obviously with my relationship with him, and going through the interview process and all those things, and then sitting down with Coach and having the same conversation with him. He wanted to come in and help build the foundation, and his goal was to get it to a place of comfort, and then allow the staff to kind of take a step forward. Everybody kind of move up. Once we got it to a place of strength.
I assume you'll have to juggle some things with the staff. Will this mean something different for Lindsay? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think for everybody, just being able to, fill a gap, so everybody's going to just take a step forward. We had a quick conversation about responsibilities. Obviously we just haven't had a lot of time to answer all the questions. But we had a conversation about responsibilities, how we'll move forward with scouting, how we'll move forward with working with different players. And those types of things. And then, as this evolves, we'll continue to have those conversations because things are going to come up, and we got to be flexible and ready to get after it.
Shavy, you were unselfish the last few games before the All-Star break. How can you continue that in these last 28 games?
We just have to prioritize it. That's what's important to us. So every message that we send to our guys, every conversation we have with one another, we talk about being unselfish. We talk about moving the ball. We talk about playing the game the right way. And how beautiful the game can be when you play together. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bigger picture thing when the game is played the right way, how everybody feels. And, guys are more willing to dive on the floor. Guys are more willing to get stops when they feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. So it's our responsibility as coaches to get them to buy into that and believe in it.
You being his right-hand man, what was John's message to you when you took over?
Go after it. I think he showed us a lot, taught us a lot as we moved through it. He was confident in the group that we have, and he had an idea of what he wanted it to look like when it was over with, and he told us to go make it happen. So, we've had a lot of conversations about, the future and how we get there, and he was, clear on that picture. So now it's our job to go out and try to get that done.
Did you have a different message for the guys in this role as opposed to before?
I think, when you do make that slide, the responsibility on you is different. So you do have to have different conversations with guys. I feel pretty confident in the fact that the relationships that I've built with the guys over time, will impact the future. And I think that's what it comes down to is, those relationships and that partnership. How do you get guys who have, a lot going on? Like the league is different, financially and, the makeup of what's important sometimes, social media and all those things. Like, how do you get a group of 15 individuals to become one, right? And that's our responsibility as coaches to get them to buy into that. But, understanding that they are human and that has a huge element in it. And then from there, like, you start. And then you start to ask them things that may be difficult for them to sacrifice. But because you built a relationship of trust, then, they're more willing to do it and sacrifice for everybody.
JB, what did it mean to you to not have the interim tag, just be named head coach?
It means a lot. It means there is a confidence, there is a belief, and a trust factor there that, we can go out and get a job done. The interim tag is tough, having had it twice, it adds a lot of pressure, to each moment. This gives you an opportunity to make very difficult decisions without that same amount of weight that you have to face where, as an interim, you're fighting for your life. Like there are 30 jobs in this league and they're not easy to come by. So this gives you a little bit of relief from that, and you can make harder decisions based on the long term and not just the short term.
JB, why do you think you end up in this position where you assume the role of head coach or in this manner of a coach stepping down or being fired?
I think the circumstances have just been different. All three places, they've been different situations. But what you hope is through your work, people have a respect for you and feel like you can handle difficult situations. These situations are never easy, right? No matter the circumstances, whether it was Houston and being with a guy, Kevin McHale, who I'd worked with forever and had known, admired growing up. Being in Memphis with Fizz, who was one of my best friends, who was in my wedding, Like, none of these situations are easy. So, but every day you show up and you hope to earn people's respect. And in doing so, people feel comfortable that you can handle the job and handle the situation in tough times. And that's what this league is. Like, your character isn't exposed when everything is good. Like, you want to be somebody that people can depend on when times are difficult. And hopefully this shows that.
Did your dad have any pearls of wisdom before the practice today?
He's the same all the time. The first thing he said to me is, "What's your plan?" Mm-hmm. And it gives you an opportunity to think. Obviously, I've been thinking about it, but being able to have that conversation with somebody, it clears some things up, and then you get his feedback and his advice, and just listen, and it helps make things a little more solid in your mind.
What do you foresee your biggest challenge in this job, and are you confident in your ability to do it?
Yeah, the toughest part of it is the process of becoming a good basketball team is very difficult, right? To win in the NBA consistently is hard, and it's our responsibility to figure that out, right? We've got a lot of young talent here, but just because you have young talent, over time, it doesn't automatically mean it's going to lead to success. So our job is to develop the young talent to understanding where, the team is the most important thing all the time. We expect them to get better individually, and that's our goal, but within a frame of the team being the most important thing. And then working with your veterans, because they can get better too, and they can be better leaders, and they can help the young guys. And change is always difficult, but being able to blend all that together and find yourself as one on the positive end in the future, that's difficult for everyone. But the group that we have, I'm really excited about being a part of it, because I feel like they're heading in that direction and they want to be in that direction. I don't think there's anybody here who we're pulling on board. I feel like everybody's on board, and we can move forward together.